So welcome everybody to the Michigan Women Hockey Coaches Show. We've had to pivot just a little bit, so we are not live at Regions Field. We do thank Regions Field very much. I had the nachos to go last week, and that was fantastic. So I will be missing that this evening. But and Jenna won't have her salad, but that's okay. We'll be back next week, and it will be me. Jenna has to be on the road, but hopefully Coach Ned or Coach Upton can help us out. Otherwise, you just get to listen to me for half an hour. So it's not the best thing in the world, but it's okay. So we wanted to have a show this week, and it's an extremely busy week. First, how did the Washtenaw Dairy fundraiser go last week?
Yeah, it went really, really well. I was obviously at the coaches show until I was able to head down to Washtenaw Dairy, but really excited about the turnout, just a lot of support from the community, some people I hadn't seen in a while. I also got to see and chat with them and meet some of the parents of players on our team that are new to the program this year. So
nice.
It was a really great event, and we're very grateful to be able to work with Washtenaw Dairy and hopefully continue to build that relationship with them. So yeah, it went great.
That is fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. And then the inter squad scrimmage happened last Friday at Yost. Unfortunately, I was broadcasting a football game at the time. But how did that scrimmage go? Anything you want to talk about with that?
Yeah, it was I guess similarly to last year, no goals were scored. So I guess it could be a positive or negative. For me as a coach, obviously leading up into this weekend where we have some CCWHA league games, being able to see players in scenarios, have them play with different people, see what works, what doesn't work. I apologize, my dog is crying. He loves to do that when I'm on calls. He's like, you're ignoring me. You're talking to somebody who's not in the room. That's not me. So maybe he'll hop in and say hi. But yeah, it just went really well. I think the weekend in general went really well too. So it was exciting to see the new players and their uniforms. And normally we wear the whites at Yost, right? We wear our white uniforms. So to see the blues, our blue away uniforms, it was kind of cool. Just because every time I see them, and I think I've talked about this before, I'm like, whoa, like those are so cool.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it shocks me a little bit. So it was cool to have both sets out there, and the players get to represent, wearing the block M at Yost Ice Arena. So some of them for the first time. So it was really exciting.
Very cool. And then that was kind of the opening to the alumni weekend. And then did I know there was the football game on Saturday? Did the group kind of get together? Was there a group of players and alumni who went to the game together, or how did that work?
I know some of the players that I played with that are alumni of the program. They did make it to the game.
Nice.
We had obviously the skate on Sunday, which was really cool. And hopefully continue to build interest for next year. Maybe add some other sort of event or get together once it gains momentum. That's sort of the plan and in the direction that we want this to go. We were the impression like, hey, let's just get something out there, do our best. And for the people that do show up, let's make it really special for them so then they can talk to their classmates and say, hey, like you should really come to this next year. Obviously not everybody is ever going to be able to make it. But for us, we kind of piggybacked off of the Michigan homecoming weekend. So a lot of people come into town, or they look to come into town for the homecoming weekend anyway. So I think there were a lot of things that went well, but as with anything, there's always room for improvement. So I'm looking forward to building on what worked well and rolling that into next year.
That's fantastic. So first annual. So hopefully if you're alumni, if you didn't get to come out this past Sunday and play in the game, hopefully we'll do the same thing next year. And I saw how many former Michigan women's hockey coaches were there? I think someone took a picture of a bunch of former Michigan women hockey coaches in the stands. I think I saw. So I know there was a bunch, not to put you on the spot there.
Yeah, Sue McDowell was there. During the skate, Coach Joe Upton, I was on the ice.
Yeah,
So I don't
obviously.
really I don't know how many people or who was in the stands, but yeah, it was a really good turnout. A lot of families came. I
Nice.
know some of the players or former players on our program brought their children, which was really, really cool. And one of
Oh,
the
that's
pictures is
awesome.
one of our alum with her nieces and her daughters. So that's really special. Um, but yeah, I think it went really well. Again, hoping to build on the momentum for next year.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you are an alumni and think about that, definitely reach out. We'd love to see you out there next year. We'd love to see a lot more alumni involved. As again, this program is where it is because of all of your hard work. Um, so now that was last weekend. This weekend things ratchet up big time. So the first Michigan women's game of the season is 2 days away. A little blip on social media, but it's Friday. That is going to be at the Arctic Edge of Canton at 8:30 versus Concordia of Ann Arbor. So fellow CCWHA team. Last season, Concordia had 8 wins, 12 losses, and 2 overtime losses and 1 tie. That versus Michigan's 20 wins, 5 losses, 1 tie, and 2 overtime losses. Um, so, taking a look at the two teams, Concordia had 73 goals for last season and 94 goals against. That's a negative 21-point differential. They had 221 penalty minutes. Michigan had 104 goals for, 41 goals against. That's a plus 63 differential. So Michigan, a lot more firepower. Michigan had a few more penalty minutes, 235 penalty minutes. So kind of talking about last season. The first game, oh, it was an overtime thriller, and we had a couple of those. It was Michigan scored first in the first, then Concordia was able to tie it up in the third, and the now captain, not at the time, but future captain Katie German came in overtime, 4 minutes and 8 seconds into the overtime and scored. Do you have any kind of recollections or thoughts about that game that you wanted to talk a little bit about that first game from last year?
I remember it was really cold,
Indeed.
which I'm not a fan of the cold, which is a little contradictory given that I'm in a rink most of the day, and most weekends. So it was very cold, and having to spend that extra overtime period didn't help the way I felt. But it was exciting, and I think that was a representation. I know we took a lot of teams to overtime last year, and we won a lot of those games in overtime. So I think it was just,
Absolutely.
it was a 3-game weekend when we played Concordia, which is a lot of games
Yes,
for
absolutely.
any athlete.
Absolutely.
And we knew that we were prepared, and we knew we wanted to win that overtime period. And we knew we could do it, but you have to win the small battles.
Yes.
You've got to be there for the rebound. So Megan Matthews took the puck to the net and Katie German followed it up. So that's, I think it set the tone for the rest of the season last
Yes.
season. Looking into this season, we've got 2 games this weekend, but we're really focused right now on Friday. We don't want to
Absolutely.
look into Saturday. We're focused on Friday. So we've got practice tonight at 10 o'clock and practice tomorrow. And then it'll be game time. So I'm super excited. I know the players are excited too. And yeah, there's a lot of social media hype right now, which is great. But my goal as a coach and Coach Joe's goal as a coach is to prepare this team and put them in a position to be successful so that when we do go into overtime, it's inevitable. It's likely going to happen again at some point this season, but we need to be prepared and we need to be persistent, and we have team goals, and we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight with the players. But yeah, we're excited. Obviously they're pretty local. Concordia is. They're based out of Ann Arbor, so to be able to play Canton, where we've played some of our home games before, most players have been there, so it's sort of like a second home, in
Absolutely.
a sense.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we're super excited, and I know Concordia played last weekend. They played U of M Dearborn. So I've been able to watch their game and kind of see how they're built this year. So we'll be ready.
And this is not, if you've been watching the team for a while, Concordia, they used to be very short bench. They didn't get a lot of players, so it was maybe an easier game. But they've been really improving, and they have 9 new players as well. So this is not a kind of a cupcake beginning game. The second game last season, Michigan did pull away. That was at Yost back on February 12th, and Michigan scored 5-1. So Shore scored first for Concordia. They seem to have good kind of early periods. And then Michigan answered with 3 goals in the second and 2 in the third to pull away. As you said, they already played University of Michigan Dearborn this season, so they have 1 game underneath their belt, Concordia. They scored 2 in the first again. So they had the 2-0 lead. Then Dearborn scored 2 in the second, and in the third, they scored 3 in the third. So it ended up a 5-2 win by University of Michigan Dearborn. It was a penalty-filled game. There was 11 infractions on Concordia, 5 on University of Michigan Dearborn. So the special teams really got to work out. We're hoping for a little cleaner game on Friday for both teams. They have 9 new players. So Michigan brings in a lot of new players, 9 new players. Concordia and the Spartans both have 9 new players, which is interesting. So definitely something to keep an eye on out there for the new players. And you talked about your thoughts coming into this game and focusing on the game on Friday. Kind of any other thoughts before we briefly talk about, not to look past Concordia, but to briefly talk about the game on Saturday? Any final thoughts on Friday?
I think we're going to be prepared, and we've got 2 more days to finalize the details and get everybody on the same page and make sure we're doing all the small things right, and we'll be ready. We're excited.
And I'm very excited because there is nothing physically wrong with the Arctic Arctic Coliseum in Chelsea where they used to play, but as a broadcaster, you cannot get internet connection there. So half of my white hairs is from trying to broadcast games there. So it's a fantastic facility. Nothing against Chelsea, but I'm super happy that my internet connection will be better Friday night. So we would love you to see you there, but we will broadcast it on ArborBroadcasting.com, 8:30 game. And then on Saturday, it's going to be a 2:30 game versus Michigan State at Mount Clemens Ice Arena. It's going to be right before the Metro Jets game, so you can come and make it a doubleheader if you want. Last season, Michigan State had 10 wins, 12 losses, and 2 ties. Again, Michigan 20 wins, 5 losses, and a tie. The Spartans scored 75 goals last season and allowed 72, so they were +3. Again, Michigan was +63. And the Spartans had a few fewer penalties, 217 to Michigan's 235. They did play each other twice. The first game, and Michigan State took the series, actually. The first game was a tie. That was again at Mount Clemens. Michigan scored twice in the first. To start off the scoring, but then the Spartans answer back with 2 of their own in the first. One of those, by the way, by Flazar, Ali Flazar. So she'll be amazing blue this season. So hopefully we can take that goal and put it on the other side. But we're super excited to have her on the team. And then the Spartans scored in the second, but Michigan answered back 5 minutes later. No one could score in the overtime, so it was a super exciting game, very high energy, but it ended up as a tie. So first game of the season, then the last game of the season, Michigan had already wrapped up things going into the CCWHA tournament. We couldn't change our position, but the Spartans had to win to get in. It was also after the incident up on campus, so there was a lot of emotion. Spartan strong. Hopefully that's not anything we ever have to deal with again. But there were a lot of emotions, and the Spartans did end up winning that game on the February 19th. Michigan again scored in the first, but the Spartans tied it up at the end of the first. The only other score was in overtime at 3:42 going into the overtime, and Michigan State won that game to get in. They went to CCWHA playoffs where they lost to Miami University 6-2. Any kind of thoughts about last season's series, or kind of does that affect you coming into this season as far as how to play them, or what's going on with playing this tough opponent?
Yeah, I think whenever we play them, it's obviously a huge rivalry game.
Yes,
And the rankings don't matter. It doesn't matter if they're the top
absolutely.
team or they're not in the top 10. It's always a close game. And we, our program, like we want to win. Um, and we need to win the series this year. I think that's something that we didn't do last year that I wish were a little different. But if we can flip the script this year, which I'm anticipating that we will, that's just going to show growth for our program, and it's going to show growth in our team because we have a large number of returners. Obviously, Fazar is on our bench now, which is a huge tool for us.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, we're excited. That's obviously a big rivalry game for us. But like I said, I don't want to get too caught up into Saturday. We've got to focus on
Of
Friday.
course.
And after Friday's game, we'll then hopefully celebrate the win, and 5 minutes later, focus on Saturday.
Absolutely. Also, as the fans, we can look ahead, but the team has to focus, because again, if you take Concordia lightly, all of a sudden you'll end up on the other end of that game. Again, the Spartans have 9 new players as well, so you'll see a lot of new names in the green and white there, and we'll mention those before the broadcast. So big weekend. We'd love to see everybody out there again at the Arctic Edge of Canton, 8:30 on Friday night, and at Mount Clemens Ice Arena, 2:30 on Saturday. I know they had a lot of young players out there at Mount Clemens again last year, and hopefully we'll see the future of both Michigan and Michigan State there as well. That was so cool to see all of them out there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be either the same or a pretty similar event. So hopefully, growth from last year. I think last year, from what I remember, it was standing room only. And that
Yes,
rink's not the biggest rink. But from what I remember, it was standing room only, which was really cool. And that was our first game of the season last year. So we had a lot of new faces last year that have been in that environment. So hopefully they can mentor the new players and teach them a little bit about the rivalry and what to expect.
absolutely. And we wanted to thank someone who was there last season, who will hopefully make some games this season. The Wolverine Trooper was getting some pictures taken. We want to thank the Wolverine Trooper for retweeting and doing things. I know we thanked a lot of other people in the past, but also Greg Krupa has done a fantastic job, and thank you so much to Greg for retweeting our items. That's in addition to obviously Regions Field and everything they do, the Michigan podcast, Sam Stockton, WTKA Playground, and I know Ms. retweeted some things, so we appreciate that. And Keith gave, which the book A Miracle of Their Own.
Yeah, I see it.
You can certainly buy that. Also, the Russian Five is a great book. So there are so many people who help support this program, and we are so grateful to them. We're grateful to you, and we'd love to see you at the rink. If you can't make it, we'll have both games at arborbroadcasting.com. How excited are you to just finally get to have the team strap on the skates and get out and actually show what they've been working on the ice? How excited are you for this weekend?
I'm stoked. It's been a long time coming, scheduling the games, and I know our schedule. I've memorized it. So in my head, I have everything laid out. But yeah, I'm really focusing. We need to focus on Friday, then we can focus on everything else. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I just can't believe it's starting. I feel like, it's everything just flies so fast when you're having fun and you're busy. So I'm super excited, and thank you for your support as well.
Absolutely. It is my privilege and honor. If you can, folks, get out and catch a game. If you can this weekend, that'd be great. If you can't, get to Yost. If you haven't seen this team before, you will be amazed at the quality hockey you get to watch, and how hard they play. And it's just a fun time. So we'll let you go because obviously you have work to do before 8:30 on Friday. So we'll let you go. Thank you, Coach Tribbiano, for your time. We hope you have good travels for work next week. And again, we'll have Coach Glisson or Coach Upton with me, and we'll be back at Regents Field. So come on out, have indulge in the happy hour specials, and we'll be out there. And we hope you have a good work travel next week. So thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic rest of the evening, and we'll see you Friday at 8:30 at the Arctic Edge of Canton.